Has the Star Wars animated sequel to Rebels been canceled? New reports suggest that series may never see the light of day. What the is going on? Let's break it down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Punch that like button right in the face, and we're going to get right into this. I interviewed Corey and Noah from Kessel Run Transmissions earlier today on the live streaming channel. These are the dudes that first had the scoop that Lucasfilm was developing an animated sequel or successor to the Rebels Star Wars animated show. And yesterday, LRM.com came out and said that could not actually be happening. It caused a kerfuffle, and so I had those guys onto the stream earlier this morning to explain what was going on. Roll the clip. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about this. Guys, as they would say in I Love Lucy, some people might say, you guys got some splaining to do. So, yeah, what did you think when you read this take yesterday, and how was yesterday for you? Just trying to kind of clarify your journey for what was going on.
Here, well, I'll say this first, and I'll let Corey, talk about it more. But it wasn't. It didn't bother me really at all. Like I didn't. People were tweeting it at us and being like, "What is this? What are y'all doing?" I'm like, well, they're wrong. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, they're we are very confident in our information. We're very confident that the Rebel sequel's still going to be animated and still happening. And Latino Review, I mean, like they're awesome. We've been talking to those guys too, and they're trustworthy. They're a trustworthy site. It's just there's some confusion going on, and it's understandable, and so. Yeah, it didn't bother us much, and it wasn't a huge deal, honestly. But Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, they actually wrote me. LRM wrote me before the article came out, just saying that they were hearing some stuff and what we were hearing, just to see what was right and what was wrong. And what I told them is, I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. I told them, we've heard purely animated for this Rebel sequel. Now, that doesn't mean that this could tie into live action material. And that's kind of what I think is going on here. And that's why I think there's so much confusion is I checked with my source again yesterday, and animated sequel still on track. So it's still happening. It's in production still. In terms of why it hasn't been announced, Noah and I have speculated for a long time that it's because of COVID and because of the lack of live action stuff that's coming out next year.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to want to save it for that. But yeah, everything we've heard so far is still that it's animated. But I mean, we can confirm that everything they're saying about a live action series with like Thrawn and whatnot, I mean, that's all accurate. Something like that is coming. Yeah. It's just we know there's also an animated project in the works.
Right on. So one of the things that I find kind of interesting about the article, and I actually didn't know they were Latino Review. I saw some people say it in chat, and you guys. So this is a sort of rebranded Latino Review. Is that LRM?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I find kind of interesting in the report is that they literally say that it can't be happening because those characters are coming into live action. To me, that one of those things does not mean the other. They can obviously have those. But spoiler alert: characters from live action have appeared in Star Wars animation and vice versa, back and forth. Yeah. But I think where one of the big confusing parts of this is. So, Rebels sequel series, is the animated show maybe not necessarily an exact sequel to Rebels, but it just was the easiest way to describe it? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, like we had said when we first reported on it, there was nothing that our source had told us that for sure said this was about the search of Ezra, or for Ezra. It was always Ahsoka and Sabine are the stars of it, though. So that's what we heard. So that's what led us to believe that the search for Ezra was more than likely what it was, as we said on the first report. So, which I still think is the case. I don't, also when Ahsoka appears in Mandalorian, I mean, this is 6-7 years after Return of the Jedi. So you got to imagine that in that time period, they would have found Ezra at some point, or maybe not if it's taken that long. But yeah, so I don't know. We've been calling it a Rebel successor series lately.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is we started out as Rebels sequel,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it kind of over time we kind of started calling it a successor series because the more we learned about the series itself wasn't really a sequel per se. It was more of just kind of a spin-off wasn't the right word either, but it was more of just like a continuation of some of the stories with other stories mixed in as well.
Yeah.
So that's where we came up with successor series. So I know the word sequel can be pretty misleading, and we if we could go back and kind of call it successor from the beginning,
Right.
I'd love to do that. But yeah, it's more of a successor series. So, and also the whole thing in their article about how they can't be doing animation. It's because they're in live action now. It's like I can't believe. And look, like I'm Latino Review, like all the respect in the world, but I can't believe they typed those words. Like it's just that means nothing. And like you said, characters made the jump from live action to animated and animated to live action. It happens all the time, and it's it's all interwoven. So if they, which they are, they're most likely. I mean, we know Lucasfilm, but unless something changes, there is going to be live action Ezra. There is going to be live action Thrawn, which will be awesome. But that does not mean that there's not going to be a Rebels animated sequel.
Right. And so I think for me, the prevailing wisdom here and how this all might tie together, if anything, it is possible that the animated show could take place maybe previous to the appearance in Mando Season 2. And then maybe all of the live action stuff spins out from there, and Ezra's already a player. Like Ezra's already in there and a player. So that's kind of where my head is at. But so just to clarify, like, this comes out from Latino Review. You guys double checked. You checked your sources. And by the way, this is the same. This is coming from the same place as the Bad Batch, which you guys just got 100% correct.
Right.
Yep.
So you're pretty solid on this.
Yeah. We're just as solid as we were with Bad Batch. So
yeah.
It's strange to me that there hasn't been any other leaks other than that, or any official announcements or anything. I think one thing we speculated a lot is that we think they might be waiting for the Ahsoka episode. Like you said, it might tie in some way, which I think could be cool. We don't know exactly what Ahsoka's role is going to be in Mando. It could be something where she teases something to Din Djarin that's going to be a larger story down the line, and you realize it's going to all tie in together. And she might even talk about stuff that happened in the Rebel sequel.
Yeah, I think that's the case too. This is speculation, but I think they are waiting for that Ahsoka episode to come out to announce this, or maybe even later this month they'll announce it when Celebration was supposed to happen.
Sure.
I think that's also that's a possibility. But it should be announced fairly soon, before the end of the year. Now, if it's not announced before the end of the year, that's interesting to me, is what I'll say. Then we'll have to kind of double check. But the thing is, right now we're 100%, and like you said, same source that gave us Bad Batch. So there's obviously there's no reason for us to doubt them in any way, and they've been right even about things beyond Bad Batch. Like we've mentioned when we reported this, these same sources, especially in that one in particular, he's been right about things, or she has been right about things way before Rebel sequel even started. So in Bad Batch and everything. So we're 100%, and that's kind of what I clarified yesterday, and I think that that's important. When that article came out, I just tweeted out, "Hey guys, it's happening. I mean, believe what you want. It's happening. It's coming."
So here's the last question, just another kind of pressing, just want to press, do my due diligence. So is it possible, in your opinion, that the animated series was moving forward, and then Filoni was presented with the option to take that into live action? Is it possible that they scrapped the animated from what you've heard and what you touched base with people yesterday? Is that possible that they scrapped animated plans and adapted it into live action?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it's possible. I mean, that's something Noah and I were talking about yesterday. Is um, the only things we've heard and the only thing our sources have heard is the exact same thing we reported on in the beginning of the year. So that, with Bad Batch, we gradually found out more about it as the months went on before we reported on it. So I think that's a big distinction is, our source only knew about a couple of things and that's it.
Right.
Hasn't heard any updates, hasn't heard anything else about it. And that so when the live action rumors started coming out, I started wondering if that was a possibility.
Yeah.
As of right now, we've heard nothing about any cancellations, but we also have heard nothing about any delays, and it was supposed to come out in November. So unless they, didn't finish season 1 and maybe they were only halfway through it and it was only early animation, I could see that being a possibility. But I don't know. It's a lot of other people we know, like in the community, like Jordan Mason, like you said, Jeremy Conrad. We've talked to them too, and they've heard the same things for the animated show, but nothing beyond what we already heard. So no one's heard anything different, which is what is really confusing about this.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and also like we know Lucasfilm is down to pull the plug on a project that's deep into development. I mean, even with that story recently about that Visceral Games, I don't know if you saw this, but we're talking about it on Kessel Run Radio today. But like they pulled the plug on the Visceral Games. Amy Hennig, I believe is her name, the lady she wrote all the Uncharted games, wrote the Star Wars game. They'd been working on it for about 4 years, and it was almost done. And in Lucasfilm and EA were both like, no, we're going to pull the plug on that. So they're from their history, we know that they're not scared to pull a plug on something that's already deep into development. So I hope that's not the case. And I don't think it's the case. It's definitely a possibility. I don't think that's happening. But if it is, that's a huge bummer. I mean, that's just not even because we scooped it, just because I'm a huge Rebels fan, and I want to see. I mean, it'll be awesome to see them in live action, that's for sure. But I would love an animated series still as well. So
and also we've heard that one of the actors was working on it, like for sure. So,
I think we talked about that a little off camera before. Yeah.
So
there's another hint that it's probably So I mean, I guess technically, in summary, like it is technically possible that Lucasfilm has scrapped it and that they're going in a different direction with live action, but there's no proof of that, and that's also not really what LRM is reporting either, right? They're not saying that these plans have changed. They're just saying that's not possible because of this, right?
And that's the thing we've been seeing obviously on Reddit all the time, is every time there's a live action rumor of one of these characters, it's always there's the animated show isn't happening. But I mean, the fact of the matter is none of this has been confirmed by Lucasfilm. Obviously, none of the live action characters. I mean, it's pretty much all but confirmed that Ahsoka will be in Mandalorian. But it's funny because just none of that is actually official yet.
Right.
I mean, so it's weird, right? Because we're in this territory now where it's purely rumors and leaks going about. It's kind of trying to piece it all together. So I would say that we should all keep our eyes open for the next 2 weeks at Star Wars, and seeing if next week we might get reveals. I mean, next week was supposed to be Celebration. I would hope that Lucasfilm would share some plans. I know with COVID, everybody is just completely,
it's a little crazy.
It's a little crazy, So,
Also keep in mind that Latino Review has been reporting about the the Mandalorian trailer coming in the first round of the NBA playoffs, and they say it's going to come on August 20th or the 22nd.
Right.
And here's the thing, and like a lot of credits for Latino Review. They're a good source, but also if that trailer doesn't drop, what does that say about this article? You know what I mean? What does that say about sources? So that's something that I'm going to be looking at.
I mean, I talked to them about this too, and I can if it doesn't fall, if it falls through, I actually understand it with the trailer, because that's something that with the earnings call, a couple weeks ago, we had heard that news was going to drop,
right?
Nothing dropped, so things do change last minute all the time,
especially right now. I would agree with that. I'd agree.
And I know a lot of people want to kind of say that that's the go-to answer for everyone something's wrong, but like genuinely right now, everything's changing.
Yeah,
Everything.
100%.
No, a lot of people think that's like an excuse for scoopers or for people who report on things. I hate the term scoopers. I do. It sounds so weird to me, but like the people who report on things, if something falls through, they go, "Oh, well, plans changed." But Corey and Josh are both right. Like that is happening a lot right now, just because it's so up in the air. So many things are up in the air right now. So yeah, and I don't mean that I don't mean like we'll see about Latino Review as like a shot at them. Like I said, like I can't stress this enough. Like I like the guys over at Latino Review.
Yeah, really cool.
It's just something to keep an eye on. To see because if they do end up being right, about that, then maybe we will have to be like, okay, whoa, what is going on here?
Sure,
but
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff up in the air,
Awesome.
but Rebel sequel's coming, guys. That's
Rebel
what we'll
sequel's
say.
coming. The
Don't
final
worry.
word. All right. Well, thanks a lot for being here, guys. Anything you want to plug? I know Kessel Run, the podcast will air tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking a little bit about Ben Solo. I accidentally hyped people up way too much for that. Sorry.
You did.
No, it's good. It's good. No, that's we're gonna talk about some Ben Solo stuff tomorrow. It'll drop at what time does it drop? 10 a.m. Eastern?
Yeah.
I think.
Rock
No,
and roll.
9 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, 9 a.m. Eastern
Rock and roll.
time. All right, guys. Thank you, Josh, for
Yeah,
having
thanks
us on.
a lot, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks,
it. And we'll talk soon, all right?
All
For
right,
sure, man.
All right, take care, guys. All right, so there you have it, guys. Corey and Noah shedding some light onto the whole situation here, talking about the possibility of Lucasfilm canceling that and moving it into live action. That is possible. The differences between the Bad Batch report that they had, the evidence they were getting about that, and why they haven't heard anything from the Star Wars Rebels sequel, and just an overall clarification of that stance. Now, look, from my perspective here, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get the animated show. I sort of hinted at how I felt about it in the stream. I think it's possible the animated show takes place before The Mandalorian, and everything in live action with Ezra Thrawn, Ahsoka, Boba, all of that stuff will happen after season 2 of The Mandalorian, but we still don't know. August is supposed to be a huge month for Star Wars news. We're supposed to be getting The Mandalorian season 2 trailer any day now, so hopefully we'll get some official answers soon, but let us know what you thought about what Corey and Noah had to say about this scoop in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Jeremy Johnson. Yes, indeed. Shia LaBeouf was rumored to be playing Iceman in the MCU. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the real name of Jedi Master Kanan Jarrus? He had a different name when he was a Padawan. What was his real name? Answer that in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you like it. And if you are enjoying the content over here, you will absolutely love the live streams we do straight from Nerdvengers Tower Monday through Friday starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.